Actually, I don't know why I always say hello everyone, because there's nobody there when I'm starting these out. But I guess there is when you actually join or watch later. So hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Code with Swizz. Today from the apocalypse. If you've seen the internet, the skies in San Francisco are absolutely horrendous. Everything's orange and it looks like we are on the set of Blade Runner. It's actually kind of cool. So what we're gonna do today is continue working on this headless CMS. I've had some ideas on where I want to take this project to make it actually useful. I resolved the issues that we had email converter library thing. I don't know if you could actually call it a library because it's not really reusable, but I resolved the issues with importing that into the project. So we are now going to see if it actually works. And I haven't tried that before. I just got to the point where there's no errors. So this is going to be the moment of truth where we are going to try to submit an article and see if we get a rendered result. And if that happens, then we're going to try to make Twitter and such thumbnails. My upload seems to be suffering, and please let me know in the stream if there's anything like that. It's not as hot as it was on Monday, but it's still pretty the best article in the world. We can say that this is a title, and I'm going to say a Twitter link. And let's just say this is a link and post to https swizz.com. This is meant to be something where you copy paste code or Markdown that you've written elsewhere. You then copy paste it in here, click submit, and that is not supposed to happen. It's definitely not supposed to error out. Hooks can only be called inside of the body of a function component. This could happen for many reasons. Okay. So I made a mistake somewhere here when I was converting my Markdown machinery to a library. Now I actually made that mistake, and because we're running from compiled code, we don't, you see this is not a very helpful error when you're using code that's being compiled. So maybe I should include source maps, but I'm not sure that NextJS is smart enough to show me those source maps. So let's see, where am I calling a hook? Or rather, let's start by looking here. We are running letter render. We're pushing in the Markdown content. We're calling it front matter Markdown for reasons that we're gonna get into later. I think that was 2 episodes ago. So if we look at letter render, what is this thing doing? It's calling const rendered is use remark. I am dropping frames, not as bad as last time. Okay, hi schemer. Hey Tanner, how are you doing? So what invalid React hook call inside the body of a function component? Okay, yes, you might be mismatching versions of React and the renderer, such as React DOM. You might be breaking the rules of hooks. React in the same app. Copy of React in the same app. That seems kind of plausible. How would I figure that out though? I know what we can do. We can try, let's see if don't call use remark here. Let's just render the actual Markdown, see that renders, and then this is the problem. So because micro bundle in watch mode and I'm running yarn dev, so I should be able to, everything gets recompiled. So if I call submit, I am still, H is not defined, right? So H is not defined because micro bundles sometimes has issues with, how do we fix that? Micro bundle, React, JSX, a custom JSX pragma like React create element, default to app H. So we're gonna go here in package JSON. So we run yarn dev again, and we're gonna see this should now tell microbundle to use React create element, the thing for JSX. I forget what it's called, but it has a name. I always forget what it's called. Let's see what happens now. So this is going to run. I'm going to put in some text here and here, click submit, get an error, and it's going to say that ref is not defined. So where is ref not defined? After return null causing the problem. That's a good idea, schemer. That might be it. The only issue is that this same code works in my other project. So I don't think that's it. It's also interesting. Why am I pushing in a ref? I don't actually need a ref here. So that's a mistake. Have div, come on. Did it recompile? Okay, that's recompiling. And now NextJS detected that my library changed and is trying to rerun unsuccessfully. Hey Alesh, how are you doing today? Let's try this stuff, click submit. So this part rendered, that's great. Now let's try going back to calling use remark. Here the rendered part. It's interesting that Team UI is not configured correctly despite being configured in the overall project. Aha, okay, so interesting. Let's try that again. So for some reason, compiling this is getting confused. Okay, so, oh nice. What kind of Discord bots are you making, Alesh? So what's happening here is almost certainly I find out if I have multiple hooks. Let's see first what gets compiled here. Index.js dist. I'm going to, and let's make sure that it's okay, safe to run prettier. Come on, prettier, run yourself. No? Why is this not formatting? Space, save. Okay, prettier is having trouble saving index.js. There we go. So do I have use remark somewhere? Export use remark equals EE. So where are we calling EE? Letter renderer is definitely compiling as a function. So we are not running into the issue of using hooks in a non-functional component, running into the issue of having too many microbundles, or not too many microbundles, too many Reacts running. So how do we fix it? So we can copy paste the exact error that we're having, and let's see, microbundle invalid hook call. Microbundle invalid hook call, what's going on? That's a microbundle issue, so it's a good sign that we're finding this in the GitHub repo. This may be related to yarn link, at least temporarily, by unlinking the package. Okay, so let's try publishing this. So yarn build. This is going to compile it. Switch. Ooh, interesting. How come you're switching having a node package? Are there special libraries that make it easier to build Discord bots in Python? So what's happening now, we're building the library and I'm going to publish it with npm, let's do npm version patch. This is still git commit -m built for alpha. Status, what am I missing? Okay, remove yarn. Hey Amir, how are you doing today? Yeah, I do seem to be dropping frames, but it's not that bad. Remove yarn error log, and we say npm version patch. Version patch goes there. We say npm publish. I'm gonna use Authy to do two-factor. Bam. I hope that Python, this is JavaScript. I was talking to Alesh was using Python. For sure why Restream is not one's messages between each other. It's supposed to. Yarn add, not that one, not that one, not that one. Markdown email converting the alpha version of my we just fixed. And now if I go yarn dev, oh, let's do yarn unlink markdown email converter and then add it again just to make sure. And then yarn add Markdown email converter, so we add it back, make sure it's not linked, that it's actually there, because it's possible issues with React versions. So we run yarn dev. Cool. Okay, so yarn dev is running. I should now be able to go here, run the code. Okay, interesting. So it should be passing the messages around then. This is compiling. Is it rerunning? Let's force reload. We have the title, we have a markdown. Okay, so that was indeed the problem. The issue we had was that we were used to be two React versions, which then confused our hooks. Great. Now let's paste in some. Let's put in a tweet and let's add this submit. And let's see what happens. It did not get parsed. Or well, it got parsed, but it did not render the way it's supposed to. I'll show you in my other project now. If you go to show you what's supposed to happen, and then we can figure out why it didn't. So this is a title. It's supposed to render a screenshot of that tweet. Will we? Yes. So this is what was supposed to render here, down here, but it didn't. So now because of the yarn linking issue, we're going to have a really, oh, I should start using this. So we're gonna have to fix this. It didn't the message didn't render, or the markdown didn't render. So now we have to figure out in the actual library how that works, or why it doesn't work. And we're going to have the fun challenge of doing that while npm publishing, because yarn link isn't working. So let's see, how can we maximum debug time here? If we go into we get rendered, remark compile, output has changed, output is set rendered. So what we can maximize here is we can do console log of rendered to make sure that we have a console log of what's being rendered. Then inside remark compile, here we get the input. We can then log the error and the output. That's also going to help. And we can go into, let's see, remark neighbor friend. What is it? URL thumbnail. Okay, so this should give us enough to see that remark is even running and trying to do stuff for us. Like, are we actually parsing anything? And when that happens, let's see, can we do anything else? Let's go into one screenshot component. We didn't get that far. Okay, so we're now going to yarn build this with additional debug info. Thanks, exactly. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think the team I'm using is Night Owl. No, it's the Tomorrow team. So I'm now rebuilding everything again with additional debugging information. Then we're gonna publish it to npm, install it in the project that we're using, and then when that gets installed, we're gonna run it again and try what happens. This is going to be slightly painful. Git commit -m debug info and patch. Come on, npm publish. Back to Authy. Bam. So that's one of the issues with trying to do all of this on stream, is that I think it's interesting to do on stream. Actually, I'm not entirely certain it's interesting to do on stream, but it does help me get actually stuff done. And I think sometimes we run into interesting problems. Chris Ellis, the CMS code is not on GitHub yet, because there's a lot of stuff that's hard-coded still, but I will put it on GitHub when it's ready for that. What I want this to become is eventually like an open source CMS, And one thing it's going to be doing is submitting to GitHub so that you will be able to write stuff here, get it sorted, and then immediately create a new article on your Gatsby or Next.js blog that's using Markdown. At least that's the idea. We'll see if it actually happens. Or, well, yeah, that's the plan. So let's do a title. Let's push some Markdown sauce. Submit. What do we get? We got the output, which was fine. Okay. So output v file, data, history, messages, result, children. Oh, okay. So the result is supposed to be a React component. Exactly, you're right. There is a lot of hitting your head against the wall. So what am I doing wrong here that makes this? Aha. I'm outputting content instead of the result. I think that's something that must have changed with a version of something happened when I was installing new versions of everything. Let's do, no, not again. And I think this is going to fix it. Bye, Chris, enjoy work. And if this fixes it, then we are good to go on the next step. Come on. Computer, you can do this. Okay, git commit -a-n, fixed, npm version patch, npm publish, new version every time we publish this, because otherwise npm rejects the package and says that you cannot overwrite versions with new code. So we've got that part. We then yarn add again, and I think that this time it's going to do what it's supposed to. Okay. We take the mark, oh, I forgot to run it, yarn dev, that's gonna run Next.js. Now when we get back to Next.js, we'll be able, if everything works, we should be able to see a rendered version of the article, or well, of the Markdown source, or the sauce. Pa-pa-pam-pa-pam. Yes, come on, computer. Compiled successfully. Reload the page. Will it show up? It showed up. So, come on. Again, there we go. So we put in the title. We take the Markdown sauce. Submit. And... That's interesting. It doesn't render. Why aren't you rendering? Let's look at, wait, I seriously, oh, there we go. I thought for a second I didn't have React tools installed. So if we go here, let's see. Div anonymous context consumer div, why are there no children? So where's the letter render component and why? Let's look at it this way. So rendered ht. So this div, this is a completely empty class, or not empty class. It's an empty thinger. But if we look at the output and the result, oh, for fuck's sake, I made a typo. It's result, not results. Yarn build. Okay, this time it's gonna work. Fingers crossed. Go through the process again. I'm going to kill Next.js, and then if this works, the next thing we're gonna try, because this is getting kind of messy, we're going to have the submit form transform you to a new page, and I think that will let us use a Next.js magical feature that lets you share data between pages. That's something that exists, so we're gonna try. Fixed npm version patch, npm publish, grab auth. Let's go. Great. Got that, and then we say yarn add. This reinstalls the library that we're using, which is basically the custom library that does all of the magic for us. Okay, come on. Yes. And then we yarn dev to run the Next.js server or the dev server. Take all of this stuff again. Come on. Okay. Rerun the browser stuff or the page. When it loads, I'm hoping that this is going to actually work. And if it doesn't work, then we're gonna have to figure something else out. Okay. Come on. Computator, okay. We can now go into the title, paste Markdown sauce, click submit, and yes. So this will eventually show a tweet. It's working, guys, or gals, or folks. Trying to fix my language, but I'm very used to saying guys. So we've got this part working. We now have make an entire article, and I can show you how well that works. The article I wrote on Monday, yes, it was Monday morning, I wrote an article about React query, so I can show you how well this would work. Also, my screen is turning orange, like the skies of San Francisco. Let's turn that off. Disable until sunrise. That my computer is starting to struggle. I can see my mouse lagging, so please tell me how bad is it right now. So we take this, paste it in here, bam. Yeah, language is hard like that. Exactly, you are right. So we say how React query blah, submit. Fragment is not defined. Interesting. I wonder what I did. Okay, let's try reloading and see if that's gonna work the second another try. So, title, how React query gives you almost everything you thought you needed blah for, submit, and we have an error. Nice. Oh, the error is in, how do we find this error? Let's try simplifying what we are pasting first. No, back to localhost 3000. I don't think it's the React version. I think there's literally a bug somewhere in my where I ported my code, which is causing issues. Let's see if that part works. Okay, so it works that far. See, it converted this name syntax into liquid templates for ConvertKit. Code becomes screenshots. Let's see, what else could it be? I think it might be. So if I paste the Spark Joy widget, this is something I use in my article. Get feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down on every email. That worked. What about Giphy? Does Giphy work? Submit. Giphy is what doesn't work. So we can go fix the Giphy integration that I'm using in my Markdown email converter. We're making really good progress here, guys. Or folks, people. Maybe I should start. So let's see. Remark Giphy search. What is happening here? we have the loader image. We take Giphy, Giphy API, does the things, next Giphy, API key. I think that's the problem. There is no API key, and that gets confused. So now I need to make sure that we can tell the library which Giphy API key to use. So the way we're gonna do that is here, when you're running letter render, or when you're calling use remark, and the reason we need to export the use remark function as well. So the reason we need to export both letter render, which is what renders the letter, and use remark, is so that we can use this for actually exporting later, and that's gonna come later. Now what we need to do is change this code so that it accepts the Giphy API key via props, passes it into use remark as an argument, and then that gets used in Giphy as the actual API key. So let's make that happen. We go to letter render. I already added a prop for Giphy API key. We're gonna pass that into use remark, and then use remark is going to get it here as the Giphy API key. And we're going, sorry, my whole head is itchy because I have too much hair. So remark compile is what, no, here. So use remark gets Giphy API key, and then calls, we don't need the console log anymore, gets the Giphy API key, calls remark compile, which does the actual compiling. The compiler gets the API key and then passes it into remark Giphy search, which is now going to become a constructor, or not a constructor, basically a curried function. That's what we're doing. For those of you who don't know, a curried function is a function that takes parameters and returns functions that take fewer parameters than those parameters. It's basically encoding parameters into the local context of where a function is defined, and then returns the new function, which now has access to the new parameters, so that you can call that function without the parameters. I don't know if that was a great explanation, but it's how these things work. So we take the Giphy API key and we return a method that returns a method. The reason we are returning a method that doesn't do anything and just returns the next method, actually no, we don't even need to do that, because we are already returning a method, so that's fine. To the Giphy API key, remark plugins expect to get functions that return functions. So if we are using our function as a generator of a React plugin, of a remark plugin, we have to correct exactly. That is a good example. The Redux's connect is an example of currying. So we have to return a function that doesn't take a parameter because the function that returns a function. So we now have 3 levels of functions that return functions, which is always super fun. So we've got the Giphy API key here. Now we need to make sure that here where so when we render Giphy search, no, I was putting it in the wrong place. Sorry guys. So remark Giphy search doesn't need to get the API key because it's the Giphy search function that does it, or not function. Giphy search React component, because I'm using remark to React so that it renders so that Markdown turns into React components, which lets me inject custom. This is where we are going to create a functional component that is going to basically render Giphy search, right? Giphy search is a React memo that gets a node that does stuff. Okay. So let's turn this into a function that gets a Giphy API key and then uses that Giphy API key down here. Okay, so we've got that, which means here we're going to now call GitHub link. No, not GitHub link. We're going to call Giphy search as a Giphy API key, which then returns a React component, which is memoized and then does stuff. In theory. Let's do yarn build. And then we're going to redo the thing there, or like we're going to republish this as version 005, NextJS, see if it works. Come on. Computer, you got this. I seem to be dropping 18% of my frames, which, I don't know, that's bad, but not that bad, because my encoding is not overwhelmed, which is great. So git commit -a-m, and we say, what do we have here? We got fix Giphy rendering, npm version patch, npm publish. And yes, I know I should be writing tests for all of this, but I am very lazy and not writing tests works well enough. So this is now publishing on npm. We're now going to yarn add markdown email converter, and then we're going to try whether a Giphy search works. And if it does, I'm going to show you what the entire conversion looks like with a full article. This is now going to run NextJS. When NextJS is done running, or when it's compiled, we can then get into figuring out how to shiz, because I think that's going to be really cool. And it's also going to lead to, actually, I don't know if it's going to lead to better UX, but it's definitely going to be cool. And it's a feature that I'm excited about with NextJS. Okay, so we've got a title. Now let's add a markdowns. Let's do Giphy hello, submit, and it died. Nice. Fragment is still not defined. So exactly, that is a great question about how to inject multiple API keys. The problem is that normally you would put API keys in a process environment or some sort of global configuration, which is where keys belong. The problem we're having here is that we are using a separate library. So this library is supposed to be agnostic to your environment. The library shouldn't know how you're getting API keys. It should just get API keys as its own configuration, which makes this part harder. If we were baking all of this into the same project as the Next.js app, then we could hard code the keys, or we could directly go get them from process.env or whatever. But we can't do that because this is supposed to be a library that is shared between at least two different projects. It's going to be for the CMS that I'm building, and it needs to work on the existing TechLetter app, because I want to be able to work on one code base to fix both projects. So that's what makes this harder. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. So we're gonna need to add some fun. Oh wait, no, I'm an idiot. Did we actually pass in an API key? Let's see. So we have this Giphy API key. Are we passing it in letter render? So it might be that I'm just doing something dumb and the library is actually working. Oh, bam. Giphy API key, is that what we called it? Giphy API key. Where are you? Letter render, scroll, letter render. So we put that in as, now we can try putting it in as a process env. So we go process.env.giphy API key, and I'm going to file, and I'm hoping that this is magically going to work. So vim, now let's do, yes, v, and we pass in, let's do it like this, Giphy API key. We say Giphy API key, and this is me completely guessing how this would work based on how I've seen Vercel work and how I've seen Gatsby work. I don't know if Next.js is going to work this way as well, but I'm hoping that it does. So let's go to Giphy and steal my API key. And yes, schemer, that is exactly where TypeScript, I wish I started using TypeScript in this project, but I didn't. So let's see, email address, Swiss, login, come on, login, no, not login, invalid email. Oh my god, it's not letting me type correctly. Swissets.com, log in. Okay, I got in. I still have an account. That's good. Haven't gotten banned yet. And if we go, is it developers Giphy develop? Please tell me you stayed logged in. Interesting. So this is super slow. What the hell is Giphy doing to make my computer so slow? So we're gonna take this key from TechLetter app, which is a development key. So please don't steal it. And we're gonna put this in the environment, and we'll see if that just magically works. It might not. I'm hoping that it magically works, because it's the sort of thing that I would expect Next.js to just do. It would help if I actually saved the file. Okay, compiled successfully, compiling, great. Ooh, that's cool. Haven't noticed that before, so I think that's telling me that it's currently compiling the app. It compiled the app. Let's go back. And we can check in components. No, we can't. So we're going to, we should have added some magic, not magic, some debugging info, but let's see. Giphy, hello, nope, submit, dies, of course it dies. Oh, why is that still console logging? Didn't we remove that? So let's, should it be process.giphy API key? And if that doesn't work, then we're going to, let's do console log of process and see what that does. Reload the page, and then if that doesn't work, I'm going to stop guessing, because guessing is kind of stupid, and we're gonna go see about yes. So .env is there. Let's Google Next.js secrets. Where does Next.js tell us to put secrets? Next config.js variables, basic features. There we go. Come on, environment variables. This is a so-called basic feature. env.local. Okay, that's what I did wrong. So we move .env to .env.local, and that way it should just work. Let's do process.env. And then this is build time environment variables to provide blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's going to be interesting. We can deal with all of that later. First, let's see what happens if this is going to work now. Exactly, that is a great guess. It was not reading the env file because it was just .env, not .env.local, I think. Okay, run, computer run. Okay, so this reran, I think. No, let's force reload because I'm starting to get confused between my computer actually reloading. Okay, so if we go in here, .env is still not populated. Why is .env not populated? It does run here. Why does process.env not populate? Say node.env equals local. Will that make it populate? Okay, so we're not supposed to use that. Let's see. Do I have any experience migrating React apps? So exactly, not really. I've mostly been using I've either been using React with pure JavaScript or I've started with TypeScript from scratch. So I've never actually done it. I've never done a conversion, so I don't know how that works. I've done it once for a library for useAuth. We converted from JavaScript to TypeScript, and that was pretty fun. But yeah, that's, I don't know. Do you have a specific question about doing that process? Okay, so I think we have them. What we need to do, API routes, get static props, exposing environment variables to the browser, that's what I need. By default, environment variables are only available in the thing. They won't be exposed to the browser. In order to expose a variable in the browser, you have to prefix the variable with next public. Got it. Okay, so we don't want to make my API key public, but we do need to push it to the front end. So what we're gonna try to do is use get static props for the first time. So let's see. How do we do that? Get static props. And we're gonna use get static props to push props up to give us the GIF API key without exposing it to the browser. It's still going to be exposed to the browser because we're sending it via the API or whatever this does, but you know. So let's see. We are gonna go up here and we're gonna say export async function get static props from the context. This should give me stuff. So props, we're gonna say Giphy API key equals process.env Giphy API key. And the theory is that this is going to statically make the API key available to my server. I'm not gonna use context because we don't need it. Now get static props. Where do these props show up? So if we have a function blog, export async get static props, export default blog. So blog then gets posts. Cool. Which means that home should get Giphy API key. And it should then pass, let's console log it to make sure that it works. And we can then pass it here. Schemer, yes. The only fully safe way to do this would be to offload the render through which is what we're gonna run out of time to do that today, but it's what I wanna do in the next session. We're going to move the actual to the server. And that's partially why they are separated. So we're gonna go through, yeah, we'll talk about that next time. Right now, let's see if this works. And we get to play around with get static props, right? Cool. So title, we then, oh wait. So that Giphy API key printed in this console. Aha! See, we got it. Giphy API key is now available front end through get static props. We can now do blah 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 and say Giphy hello, and we will see if it does not. Okay. Whew. We made a lot of progress. We still have 5 to 10 minutes left. Let's try to get this working. So we now know that the API key is available on the front end, and we are passing it into our letter render. The next step is figuring out why Giphy is still failing. For that, we're gonna have to go into inverter and do some console logging here. So we're gonna console log Giphy API key here. This ensures that it's available, or let's go like this. Letter render, are you getting the Giphy API key? The next step is inside use remark. Here where we do Giphy search, we can say node here, console log Giphy search. Do you have the Giphy API key? Yeah, Skimmer, you're great at foreshadowing. I don't know how you do that because I'm not planning any of this in advance. I'm just going for it. So, Giphy API key, Giphy search, use reducer, and then I wish I knew what was on index.js 6072 on the first to make that easier to debug. You'll see. Yarn build. So we added some debugging console logs to make sure that the Giphy API key is getting through all of the spelunking. Now I'm rebuilding, and when I rebuild, I'm going to prettify the compiled source, which will then make these error messages nicer to read. Also, I need to buy myself one of those. Okay. What? Interesting. So my hotkeys changing my. Okay, I need to buy one of those little keyboard thingies for streaming so I can change views and do fun stuff. So we're gonna open this index.js and we're going to format it. Let's see if it manages to do that. It's a little slow because there's a lot of code here. It's saving index.js. So this will make it easier for us to tell us exactly which line is failing. Hit commit -a-m, debug stuff, npm version patch, npm auth to deploy this shit, npm publish, come on. 785. Okay, so this is, then we update it in the Next.js repository. Then we run Next.js, and next time the error happens, we'll be able to tell what the error was. I hope. That's the plan. Yarn dev. So yarn dev runs. We go here, and we will see if it works. Bah. Kiddo. Wow. Okay. The sounds you might hear in the background is my girlfriend starting to make dinner, which I think is my final countdown. Right. We got the title. Let's make Giphy hello, submit, and we got errors. And this time, see, we can see what the errors were. So letter render got the API key. Letter render got the API key, and then somebody did not get the API key. Cannot read property URL of null. So this is why prettifying the source code helps, because you get better error messages. Sorry, I am all itchy everywhere. So we can stop console logging Giphy API key there, and we can go into Arc. I'm going to add that, and we can say return new promise console log remark compile API key, Giphy API key. So remark compile Giphy API, then Giphy search actually printed. What does remark Giphy search do? It visits the things, it visits every image node and changes it to a Giphy search node, and when that runs, it Giphy reducer, that's not what we care about. So Giphy search here, where did we try to read? Why did I mess that up? So I lost where the error was. Hello? Submit. Okay, so it's online. Oh, interesting. So that's a different error. The error was, but I did not. Is it 8,000 or is it 3,000? No, it's localhost 3,000. And that breaks something else, which means we can say hello, submit. Great. Now fragment is not defined. Now we got the right error that we were looking for, and that happens on line 388. Giphy search did in fact get, so we have the Giphy API key here, which means to console log it here. Go back to the previous situation. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, so we go into our this index.js and look for line 388. 388, our create element from fragment. Interesting. We were solving a different bug, but I guess like for whatever reason, I don't have support for this, which means I have to, this should be a box or a P. Let's do a box. So we're gonna say that this is a box instead of a fragment, and or let's just use react.fragment. That should work. React.fragment. Come on. Then we rebuild, yarn build. And now I think it's going to work. So not sure why, but however microbundle compiled this, it meant that, yeah, schemer, I also don't know how that is possible, but it is possible. It potentially because I don't have React DOM installed in, by adding that as well. Yarn add --peer React DOM, just to make sure that it's available and that microbundle doesn't get confused when it's compiling stuff. Okay, let's do yarn build again. And then we're going to publish and see if it works. Okay. We are over. We're starting to be over 1 hour, which is what I'm trying to keep these within an hour, because I think the way I used to be doing it was that they were just too long and nobody was watching. Come on, yarn build. git commit -a-m. What are we calling this? We are going to say that we fixed Giphy version patch npm publish. I take my auth stuff, ooh, I beat it with 1 second to go. Nice, that worked. We can then yarn add, yarn add Markdown email converter, and now it's hopefully going to work. Fingers crossed. I wonder if I should go full Twitch for these things and start using like stickers and emojis and stuff like that. It seems like too much. Let's keep it serious, people. Okay, compiled successfully. Now run. Will you work? We add a title and we say Giphy hello. Yeah. Comp hello. Then it errors out. So it doesn't like it if you submit twice, which is a problem. But let's see. Or maybe something else was a problem. Giphy comp hello. And we should get the way. Nope. Interesting. Cannot read property images of undefined. Okay. So I'm gonna have to actually fix that library so it doesn't error out if it doesn't find images. But this should now work. Come on. So if we take all of this, paste it here, and say how React query gives you almost everything, blah, submit, we get all of this stuff. Yes. Oh yes. So this is working. Nice. Okay, and you can go to the next GIF. Yep, that's working. And what else? Yep, this should work too. You can reload these guys. I don't know why that part didn't work. Who knows what that is? Copy image address. Giphy, that was a typo. It says Giphy instead of Giphy. So we got it working. I'm going to publish a write-up about today's app. What if I click here? There we go. So we got it working. I'm gonna publish a write-up about this tomorrow. If you subscribe to my emails, you'll get it in your inbox. Go to swizets.com and hit subscribe and all of that stuff. And we're gonna continue on Sunday by making this work more properly by not leaking my API key, and it's gonna go through the server and doing rendering there and then moving to the next page and all of that good stuff. So thanks everyone for watching. I will see you again on Sunday. Bye.